Shabbat Shalom, Chaverim. Shabbat Shalom. This Shabbat, Parashat Noach and the flood and the ark and the rainbow, and rabbis all over the world from all denominations putting aside their foibles and talking about the same theme, the ecology, the environmental message of this parasha. Prominent American Rabbi Art Green have said that every person, every generation, a contemporary rabbi, has its own weekly parasha, which becomes the story of his life in the most profound of ways. And I feel, says Rabbi Green, that the parasha of our generation is Noah and the flood. So, point number one, what was the problem? The Lord saw how great was man's wickedness on earth, and how every plan devised by their mind was nothing but evil all the time. And the Lord regretted that he had made the man on earth, and his heart was saddened. That's the end of Parashat Bereshit, which we looked at personalization of God. His heart was saddened. And then in the beginning of Noah Parasha, it says, the earth became corrupted before God. The earth was filled with lawlessness. But they don't say what was the problem. They give a very generic description. What people were doing that was so evil. They don't tell us. There's plenty of rabbinic stories in this regard, and the rabbis gives a hint, which later on the Holy Book of the Zohar interprets later, which suggests that the sin of the generation of the flood got to do with a technological jump beyond the iron phase to the prosperity, over prosperity that came before that. The Zohar says the following: when Noach appeared in the world, he taught them to prepare spades and hoes. And later, the people of the world sinned before the Holy One, blessed be He. So that suggests that the technological advantage of the generation enable further successful agriculture, further effective agriculture, which created abundance, material abundance. But the technological advantage was not accompanied by moral values, by moral progress. So the leisure, the time, the power the technology had brought had led to selfishness and undignified behavior between one man and its fellow, and to a moral deterioration of the whole generation. How familiar it is. It's amazing that the master sages 2,000 years ago could have come up with such a theme. We're going to meet it again. We today can testify that not the industrial revolution of the previous century, of the 19th century, sorry, and not the digital revolution of us. Yes, indeed, we have jumped in our abilities, we have jumped in our technology unprecedentedly, and we have new, enormous possibilities. But even today, technological advantage without spiritual and moral progress is harmful more than assists. How can it be that in an age of prosperity, there's so much hunger, there's so much social gaps? How can it be that the technology that was supposed to give us more leisure, more time, makes our life more stressful and busy? Why the resources that could have been invested in medical technology are going to the wrong place, to warfare? How can it be that instead of technology assisting us to keep the balance on this earth, this is exactly the problem? This is exactly what takes the planet out of balance. The technological progress cannot be stopped And maybe it shouldn't be stopped. The technology for itself is a vessel, is a vehicle. It's not good or bad for its own. The problem is not the technology. The problem is us, that we don't know how to use it in the appropriate way. And the challenge that we face, and unfortunately we are going to inherit to the next generation, is how to keep our human image, the image of God, and our values, our human values, our social values, and how to keep the planet. Do you think Judaism and the Jewish people are going to last forever? No. Why? Because the Jewish people is part of the humanity, and the existence of humanity at this point of time is dependent on the existence of this planet. So there won't be Judaism if this planet will not be able to sustain life. Point number 2. Noach versus the generation. The person who is the ideal example of the guardian of the creation, the first righteous person, Noach. His life journey, his life mission is environmental task. He is an environmental, and model to environmental activist, and assuring sustainability for the generations to come. In what he is doing, you can see he embodied the responsibility that on us humans to leverage, to push, to manifest all abilities and talent that we have for the whole creation. So what's interesting is, as you're aware, many of you may be aware, that Noach has an interesting comment. He was righteous for his generations, in his generations. He wasn't a great righteous guy. It was the best God could find in that generation. I can relate to it. I really can relate to it. We are not the best that there are. We are not the wisest. We are not the nothing. But we are what God has to work with in this generation. It has to be sufficient because there isn't plan B. Now let's talk about the generation. The rabbinic story tells the following story. It's called Midrash Tanchuma. Midrash Tanchuma. It's a collection, compendium of rabbinic stories. They said to him, "Old man, why are you building this ark?" And Noach said to them, "The Holy One, blessed be He, is bringing a flood upon you." So they said to him, "A flood of what? If it's a flood of fire, we have a device which is fireproof. If it's a flood of water, that we will bring iron plates which can plate the earth and prevent the water from rising. And if it brings water from the heavens, then we have devices to absorb the water." So it's amazing to see the master sages predict how we think the technology, the devices that we come up with will sort us out. No technology will sort us out. And from the other side, the Midrash emphasize Noach and his people with him, his 3 children, his wife, 3 children, and the in-laws, living together in the ark and investing so much human effort, which has no substitute. Listen to that. Our sages declared, during the 12 months of the ark, Noach slept neither during the day, neither during the night, because he was so occupied constantly with feeding all the creatures in his care. They were obligated to feed the animals, the beasts, the bird. Rabbi Akiva stated that they even brought into the ark 3 branches for the elephants and glass beads for the ostrich. Which ostrich? It's glad the gasped, but never mind. Some of the animals had to be fed in the 2nd hour in the night and others in the 3rd hour of the night and so on. Rabbi Eliezer, son of Yossi the Galilean, says, because Noach once delayed feeding the lion beat him severely and he left the ark crypt. It's a floating game reserve. It's a total meshugane job to run it. So just to see technology versus the investment that one puts from his heart and soul. Point number 3, the rainbow. The rainbow is a sign, like the Shabbat is a sign, when we see the rainbow, there's a special blessing that we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zocher habrit, ve'ne'eman bivrito, ve'kayam b'ma'amaro. Blessed are you, eternal our God, King of the universe, who remembers the covenant, faithful to his covenant, and keeps his promise. A special blessing when we see a rainbow. That's obviously in the South African context very relevant. Now, in the previous parashat Bereshit, we saw how humans in chapter 1, humans are giving, humans are the tiara of the creation, the cause of the creation, like the whole world was created for the humans, whether it is chapter 1, which gives all the creation as a dominion to humans, whether it is the chapter 2 when humans are the guardians, but it doesn't matter. It's like there is a hierarchy, and at the top, there are the humans. Noach gives us another model. The world is in severe, fatal danger. And the job of the humans is to be the servant who is saving everyone else within a crisis. It demonstrates how in the world, after being banned from heaven, the responsibility to the existence is not on God, is on us. Humans, the creator, there's not much he can do. He's saddened in his heart. God is saddened in his heart. So there's nothing he can do. God delegated the agency to humans, and that's it. That's where the agency is now stuck on us. And if we are endangering it, then God is very sad. It is in our custody. It is in our stewardship. That's for the rainbow. I want to read to you those relevant verses. I have set my bow in the clouds, and it shall serve as a sign of the covenant between me and all the earth. When I bring the clouds over the earth and the bow appear in the clouds, I will remember my covenant between me and you and every living creature among us, among all flesh, so that the waters shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. When the bow is in the clouds, I will see it, and I will remember my everlasting covenant between God and all living creatures, all flesh that is on earth. That shall be a sign, God said to Noach, of my covenant that I am establishing between me and all flesh. This is as powerful as the covenant of Sinai, but it's not just with the Jewish people, it's with all humanity and all living creatures. So point number 4, destruction. Back to the reality. Never again there will be a flood to destroy all flesh, but there is a lot of destruction. The world is destroyed. There is an environmental activist saying, they say the following: the Third World War is between humans and the nature. The bad news is we win. We know that our lifestyle not only hurts the nature, the minerals, the plants, the living creatures, but as we're trying to supply for all humanity, we are hurting ourselves. The idea of sustainability, the idea of dwindling, acknowledging the dwindling of resources that we need and taking care of all the junk that we create. This is our deeds. This is our lifestyle. It doesn't only hurt the nature, it hurts us. Even if we could have stay indifferent to the destiny of all the species who are distinct, we cannot stay indifferent to the fact that public health is being deteriorating because of the pollution in the water, in the air, and in the soil. The crisis is not a theory, the crisis is reality. So, to conclude, it may be very inconvenient to think about it. Noah is a very relevant tzaddik, righteous person for us, the person who walked in diligently against time to build the ark, to save life. And this is a universalist righteous, not a Jewish righteous person, a universalist. We are the descendants of Abraham, but we are also the descendants of the children of Noah. And in that time when we live, we are commanded to lead the conceptual revolution that will bring us into fixing what it is wrong. And as for us, Beit Emmanuel, let us think what we can do. We spoke about it previously. We spoke about greening our campus. We spoke about harvesting our water. We spoke about community garden. I suggest we speak about it again. This is the least that we can do if we are serious and if we are really intending to be an example, or not even to be an example, just fulfilling our duty, greening the campus, harvesting the water, changing the energy, making a community garden. And maybe if we talk about it and if we gather our forces truly by Tu B'Shvat, the Jewish festival of environment and nature, we will come with a plan. The time is now, and we are the people we've been waiting for. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.